Dear Ian, I don't know which microphone to get. Should I get the SE8 from SE Electronics or should I get the Octava? Well, let's see, shall we? I really like pencil mics, although they do have their downsides as well, like all microphones, but the one thing I really like about them for video is the fact that they are small and they don't dominate the picture. Because they have such a small light diaphragm, they respond really well to what's called transients, those little tiny things, the attack of notes or the attack of sounds. That's why we use them for instruments, but for speech they really pick up the clarity in the voice because the diaphragms are so light and so small. Most of them are pretty sensitive as well. They also don't resonate too much with bass frequencies. In rooms you can get an awful lot of bass swimming around the room and you can get focus points inside the room which some microphones might respond to. Especially large diaphragm condenser microphones. They can get all kinds of rumblings going on in the room, and these don't respond so readily to that, which is quite nice. I think the biggest downside to most pencil microphones is the fact that they produce a little bit more self-noise than other microphones. They're kind of a compromise in that respect. So to start, the SE8 comes from a company called SE Electronics, and they make some very, very nice microphones. One microphone that comes to mind, and I use quite a lot, actually two, is the V7 and the V7X, and they're both dynamic microphones, both supercardioids. Excellent microphones. The SE8 is supposed to be one of the quietest pencil mics around. It's got a couple of nice features. It's got a high pass filter, which means you can cut the bass going into the recorder or into your camera. And it also has a 10 dB pad, although getting at it is a bit of a pain because it's recessed into the body. I don't like that. The Oktava MK012 or the Oktava 12, MK12, comes in sets. You can buy individual parts separately. It comes almost as a system. So you get what they call the body here, the amplifier part. That's the body, and it's got no capsule on the top. And in here, I've got 3 capsules and an attenuation thing. So this one's an omni, this one's a cardioid, and this is a supercardioid, and it comes with a clip as well. But this can be bought all separately. You can buy the capsules separately, and there are lots of other capsules that will fit onto this. So it's almost like a little system in itself. So what I'm going to do for the test is I'm going to use a cardioid capsule on the Octava so it matches with this one. I think probably the cardioid capsule is regarded as one of the better capsules that they make as well. One thing I have found with the Octava is I think it's slightly more noisy than the SE8. But there is a chap in America, in the USA, and I think there might be other people as well that can modify these microphones to reduce the self-noise. Having said that, it's not that bad, actually. So let's see what they both sound like in comparison to each other. This is the sound of the SE Electronics SE8. This is the sound of the Oktava MK012. This is the SE Electronics SE8 from the front, from the side, from the rear, back to the side, and this is the front again. This is the Oktava MK012 from the front. This is it from the side. This is the rear. This is the side, and we're back to the front again. Now I'm still on the Octava, but to be fair to the SE Electronics, that has a high pass filter, and I'm trying to, let's have a look. It's got a high pass at 80 and 160 Hertz. It's also got a -10 and a -20 dB pad, whereas the Octava hasn't got any of that, but we can change the heads. So now I'm just going to go over very quickly to the other heads just to show what they're like. This is the Octava omnidirectional head, and obviously if you move it around it's not going to make too much difference because it's picking up all the way around. Having said that, it is more sensitive on the front slightly than the back, as I'll show you. This is the front, side, and then this is the back, to the side and to the front. What's happening is probably the body of the microphone itself is shielding the capsule. This is the one that a lot of videographers really prefer because it's got more directional capabilities. It's also got a bit more weight in the sound, as you can probably hear, which means when you get it further away it's probably going to sound a little bit better. Just so you can see how far away this is the SE Electronics SE8 being boomed from above at about 45 degrees. So if I take it just over my head there now, so the wire's in the way, but never mind, that's about 45 degrees. Now I take it just out of shot, there you go. So that's the sound of the SE8 when it's being boomed. This is the sound of the Octava being boomed. Again, I'm in the same place I started with the SE8. Now I put it above my head, so it's just there above my head with the wire in the way, and just take it out of shot, and that's the sound of the Octava being boomed. Just for good measure, because the SE8 can't do this, this is the Octava, and I'm now using the hypercardioid, and as you can hear, it's probably got a bit more authority in the sound, and I'm using it in the same place. If I get it above my head again now, there it is above my head, pointing down at me, lifted out of sight, there you go. That's the sound of the Octava with the hypercardioid being boomed above my head. The Octava seems to have this rich sort of sound, whereas I think the SE8 is a little bit thicker sounding. Possibly the SE8 is better a bit further back because of that weight, whereas this one has got this crisp cardioid head, but then for the further back stuff it's got the hyper, so it's kind of a difficult thing to choose between the two of them. Both really nice microphones, both pretty low noise, but I was surprised that I was finding the Octava slightly lower in noise than the SE8, and SE Electronics put out that the SE8 is one of the quietest or the quietest mic in its class. So I'm not quite sure what they mean by in its class, but I do like the Octava mic a lot. I think the Octava mic is a very, very nice microphone, and because of those different types of heads, it's perhaps a little bit more versatile than the SE8. The thing is the SE8 does have the bass cut, but actually you can do that on a recorder anyway. You don't have to do it at the microphone end. So I don't know, swings and roundabouts, but they're pretty much on a same level for me, and I'm quite hard pushed between the two of them, to be honest. I hope this was useful to you, but it's just confused me more because I don't know really which one I would choose if I was only going to buy one, but hopefully this was useful to you, and I hope to see you next time. Cheers for now.